Good day. I'm Janet Wallace, moderator for the Town of Kingston, and this is the Town of Kingston's Special Town Meeting preview. Special Town Meeting will be held on November 12th, 2019, 7 p.m., Kingston Intermediate School. Hope to see you all there. I am using, for my preview, I'm using the draft warrant that was on the website from October 27th, 2019. It's the only warrant that I had. Initially, I just received from Gloria, our Assistant Town Administrator. She came in here knowing I was doing my preview and brought me in the new, most recent version of the warrant that has numbers. Unfortunately, I was going from the one on the website that didn't have a lot of numbers, so I'm going to try to go between the two and update you on what are the new numbers that are going on as of now. So let's get started. And just to be aware, the Board of Selectmen, I'm sure you saw last night on October 28th, 2019, reopened the warrant, added a budget, added an article, and they actually added it in the middle of the warrant as opposed to the end. So the numbering system has now altered. I'm going to try to stay up on that, but listen to my titles because the articles have altered since last night. So now here we go. Article 1 is the Kingston Police Lieutenant's contract, and that article initially had no numbers in it, but I'm seeing now that it's $17,604 for the increase in salaries, contractual salaries for the Kingston Lieutenant's contract, and overtime of $1,977.48. I believe that's a retroactive sum to be paid. So those numbers are in. According to this, it's saying that it's 2% for fiscal year 20, 2% for fiscal years 21, and 2% for fiscal year 22. I know Finance Committee had indicated at their meeting that it really came to more like 6.5% because of stipends and other things that were allowed, and I'm sure that'll be addressed on the town meeting floor in regard to that. We have a vote from Finance Committee on this one is 401 favorable action, and that is on the Kingston Police Lieutenant's contract, Article 1. Article 2 is the Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 30 contract sergeants. This is for our sergeants in our department, and the numbers on that one are and have been available. It's $123,798.34. And, I should go back. I believe that also in Article 1, the funding is coming from free cash. Yeah, free cash, so it's still free cash. So the funding on that article for Article 1 was free cash. This one is our sergeant's contract, so I know that it was an increase in, it was indicating that it's 1.5% for fiscal year 18, 2% for fiscal year 19, 2% for fiscal year 20, but I know that they added training allowances and a stipend for our senior sergeants so that the senior sergeants get paid just a little bit more than newer sergeants, and that's would be done. So that's the regular salary is $123,798.34 with the overtime of $37,296.55. Again, because we're dealing with some retroactive, the contract hadn't been passed before that time was done. So that's where we are on both of those contracts going forward. And again, we have vote from the Finance Committee, favorable action on the sergeant's contract, Article 2, 401. And just so everybody knows, it's my understanding the Board of Selectmen will be voting their votes for for all of the articles at their meeting tonight, Tuesday, October 29th, 2019. So plug in and see that one so you can come up to speed on the Board of Selectmen's recommendations on these articles. So moving on now to Article 3 is just our prior year bills. These aren't a transfer from, usually we see a transfer from department to department. This is going to be prior year's bill. There's outstanding bills for fiscal year 19, $3,409.75, and what they're allocating is for that to be paid from free cash. In case I wasn't clear on Article 2, the sergeant contract is also coming from free cash, at least for these. Obviously, later it goes into the budget. But, so these are for free cash. And then those are prior year. So then we move on to Article 4, just looking to see if there was any change in those numbers. None on that for Article 3. Article 4, we have the supplements to the fiscal year 20 budget that was just voted at annual town meeting, and this is for the veterans. This article is for the veterans department. So it's to supplement in order to add in, and what they're looking to do is to add to the Veterans Department 25,000. I know there's been some discussion on this one because this falls under wage and personnel. It wasn't, obviously, the wage and personnel bylaw wasn't changed at the annual town meeting to accommodate this. So I believe they're looking to add this to the current stipend, that's 25,000. But whether or not this would be a stipend or a salary, it's indicating. So we'll have to see how that happens. So it'll be 25 plus the 12 would make the stipend $37,000. Again, this is coming from free cash, but eventually this would roll into the regular operating. The question came into play is whether or not there's a bylaw for it to actually be paid out, because it has to be under the wage and personnel. So either way, we can still certainly vote it, and that actually has a Finance Committee voted that one 0-5-0, and that would be unfavorable action. The Article 5 is the renewable energy. So this is to supplement fiscal year 20 budget of $10,000. We'll be subsidizing the Renewable Energy Enterprise Fund budget. This is for an anticipated shortfall as a result of electricity bills that are incurred due to the recent non-operating of the wind turbine facility at 8 Cranberry Road. So our obligation as a town is to keep the electricity running. We have to keep the red beacon running. That requires electricity by law. And also in there are computers and other things, so we need to keep the climate control to keep them protected as well. The matter's in litigation, as we all know, and we've heard a million times. So obviously this will all come about, but in the meantime, we need to keep that going, and that's gonna run approximately $10,000. Again, that's gonna be coming on that one. That's coming from free cash. Again, I'm just looking very quickly to see. Yes, that's coming from free cash on that. So that's where we're at on Article 5. Article 6 is the fiscal year 2020 capital equipment project funding. So this article is broken down into so I'm losing track here on what I've got here. Here we go, Article 6. So these numbers have changed. So we have, in the first department, we have IT, and that is to update purchase of Microsoft licenses. And that was 20, now it's 15,000. So that is, has a Finance Committee favorable vote, 500, Capital Planning Committee favorable vote, 300 at the 15,000. Originally, there was also a software update that was in here for 24,000. It looks like that's been removed, so that one's not going to be addressed. And then on subsection 3 now then, under or what becomes 2, facilities is the purchase of a security-enhanced townhouse entry door system, and that's also been reduced from 30,000 to 15,000. So that new number is 15,000. Finance Committee has not voted that. Capital Planning voted that 1-0, which I believe makes that a non-favorable vote. So obviously, we'll have to hear from Finance Committee on that one. I mean, Capital Planning on that one on the floor. The third item is going to be well cleaning of the irrigation system at Opachinski Fields. That's under the Recreation Department, and that's for $24,000, and that has Finance Committee favorable 500, and Capital Planning Committee favorable 300. The fourth and last item is the Fire Department. It's Kingston's portion of the FEMA AFG grant for the purchase of breathing air compressors. And the total cost to the town is $6,811. The total project that's under the grant is $82,567. We're paying $6,800. The grant's grabbing that. The remainder for a total of $82,567. That has Finance Committee favorable 500 and Capital Planning favorable 600. Now, I thought that there was also going to be an abatement of asbestos. I'm not seeing that now, so that must have been removed, but it very well might be in there. I thought under this one we were going to be doing an asbestos abatement. Nope, sorry, I spoke too soon. That's under Article 7. So we'll move that one over. Article 7 is the capital, is the FY 2020 equipment purchase and project funding. So on this one, ladies and gentlemen, we have a total on this one for $76,050. That's been altered, so it's $76,050. And just so everybody knows, the prior article was a total of $60,811. So on this one, we have the first item is Board of Selectmen Townhouse Architectural Design for renovation of the first floor. So this was originally, nope, it's remaining $7,500. That's to do architectural designing for the first floor, and that has a Finance Committee 050 unfavorable vote. And I don't believe that one needs, we won't be seeing capital planning on this particular article. The second item is the library, and that's for computer replacement, and that's $9,000. That is also got Finance Committee favorable 500. I shouldn't say also, it has Finance Committee favorable 500. The third item is the Board of Health for $1,000. This is for public awareness and advertising, and they're looking for $1,000 for that to be supplemented to their cost, and that's got Finance Committee 500. Favorable action. The fourth item is the Board of Selectmen is Kingston's portion of the Plymouth County Grant Writing Program, and that would be they were originally looking for $25,000. That's now is going to be $18,750. And the reason for the difference is that originally it was going to be $25,000 for the year, but because we're doing November through July, it gets discounted, so it came to $18,750 through the July. And this is for they're looking to hire, Plymouth County is looking to hire an employee at $75,000, employee for the 3 towns to finance the salary. Plymouth County would finance all the benefits that go with it, and it would be for grant writing that would affect and give grants to all 3 of the towns that are part of that. So that right now, ladies and gentlemen, has Finance Committee 230, and I believe, again, that makes it an unfavorable vote, 230. The fifth item is the Board of Selectmen for $30,000. That was originally $25,000. Nope, I'm wrong here. $30,000, always was $30,000. It's the abatements, the next one. Board of Selectmen, it's the Employee Liability Reserve Fund. This is the buyback sick. We see this typically as people are retiring, long-term employees are retiring. They have sick time buyback, and we have 4 employees that are expected to retire this coming year. So what this is to build in the cushion now to anticipate, because one of the employees is going out in March, and that will be, or is anticipated to go out in March, and that would be before town meeting vote. So this would make the funds available for all of them, but for particularly that individual who will be leaving in March. And that's $30,000. So that's just paying funds that have been accrued, and the town must pay them as we've offered it as a benefit. So that is the number 5. And then number 6 is the, oh, well, it's because of my notes, I numbered them wrong. Item number 6 is the Board of Selectmen, and this is the asbestos abatement at the Reed Center. This is $9,800. It's my understanding that in the office where we have staff and employees, there's one section of the ceiling that has peeled and collapsed. As we know, the Reed is an extremely old building. It's asbestos, so we have to have it removed. That's $9,800, and that has Finance Committee favorable vote 500. And I'm sorry, I should have told you on the Employee Liability Reserve Fund, that did have Finance Committee vote 500, favorable action on that. So that is this one, and that total is $76,050, and all of this is to be transferred from free cash. And I believe we had certified free cash at somewhere around if I remember my notes, 2.3 million, I think, is what our free cash is certified at this point. So those funds are available there. So this is now the change as of last night when the Board of Selectmen opened up the warrant to add an article. They added it as Article 8. So the prior ones are now all pushed down one number, just so you know. So this is Article 8. This is to upgrade the water distribution system in South Kingston. This is to deal with the flow and the amount of the pressure. So that project, ladies and gentlemen, under this article now is $1,500,000. It's to pay the cost to design, construct, equip, and furnish as well as upgrade the water distribution system, including some of the pump stations and related water lines and others. So it's for the whole entire project. And that hasn't been voted on by anyone yet, as it was just added last night. So I'm sure that we will see that coming up in the discussion at town meeting in regard to the new Article 8. So now moving on to Article 9. Article 9 is acceptance of a stabilization fund provision. Just fill you in. At annual town meeting in 2011, you will all remember Article 43. We voted unanimously to, and conditional upon the local meals tax being passed, which it was, to establish a stabilization fund for capital purchases. Unfortunately, under Chapter 40, Section 5B at that time, it didn't allow us as a town meeting body to designate the funds specifically for capital planning and for that type of stabilization. The our legislature at the State House has amended that statute now for Chapter 40, Section 5B. It was just amended in 2016, which now allows the towns to designate the local meals tax revenue. We've been doing it anyhow, but now it will be appropriate. So Article 8 is an acceptance of that stabilization fund provision to allow us to accept the changes to the statute that allows us to designate those funds for capital projects from the locals meal tax, which is what the intent of that special annual town meeting was when we voted the local meals tax, was to ensure that it would go towards capital projects. I believe the intent was that it wouldn't go into our budget, become part of budgetary. We would use those funds to surplus and buy other capital projects as they came along. That is the new Article 9. We have Article 10, which is the Capital Stabilization Fund dedication of the meals tax provision. So obviously, conditional upon us passing Article 8, this article will then allow us to designate the funds from the local meals tax to be used for capital projects. So one is just to incorporate the statute changes, and then this is now making us rededicate those funds of the local meals tax income going to capital projects. So they kind of just clean up of issues that have arisen. So that was Article 10. The Article 11, moving on with these numbers. So Article 11 is transfer from the Municipal Waterways Improvement Fund. And this is $88,000 is to purchase inflatable boat, engine, and boat trailer, as well as design, engineer, permitting, and construction on site to increase parking down at the Ardina. I believe it didn't say it, but I believe that was the intent of where this was going, is in the Ardina. So it would be $88,000. Ladies and gentlemen, this money is from the Municipal Waterways Improvement Fund. So this is user fees that go into the fund, and the fund can only be used for these projects. So this is what our department is looking for in regard to, now let's use those funds to do these particular projects under that. So it won't cost the taxpayer anything, it's user fees, $88,000 on that. Just double checking to make sure that is the same sum. Yes. That has Finance Committee favorable 500, and that has Capital Planning favorable 210 on the capital planning. Moving on to Article 12. To ask the general court for special legislation to allow the town to establish a special fund to account for the revenues and expenditures of the non-town net metering projects. If you remember, we've talked about this a lot of time at annual town meeting. The non-town net metering projects they have a line item in our budget, our operating budget. And it's just been, as we say, it's just a flow in, flow out. It's really not appropriate in the operating budget. I believe DOR has told us multiple times to take it out. This is now the town and the Board of Selectmen saying, okay, let's make these changes. But to do it, we have to ask the general court at the legislature to make the change, to allow special legislation, to allow us to establish a special fund to account for the revenues and expenditures of the town. So currently, right now, it's part of our budget. We're taking it out of the power purchase agreement for the wind turbines on non-town owned land. So hopefully, obviously that's going to be Article 12, and we're looking to pass that. That has no cost basis. It's just a matter of clearing up so we can get it out of our operating budget. Article 13 is to establish the Police Building Stabilization Fund and dedication of revenues. This article, again, does not have any monetary cost associated. What they're looking to do is to establish and I'm sorry, I should have told you, on the special legislation, Finance Committee voted that 5-0 favorable, and that, as we said, has been a recommendation, I believe, of the Department of Revenue for multiple years. The Article 13 is the establish a police building stabilization fund and dedication of revenues. What they're looking to do is to, as you all know, we passed marijuana tax. We allowed marijuana in now, the new marijuana tax. And so they're looking to have the income, just like we took the local meals tax, and we're putting that into capital projects. What they're looking to do is take the marijuana tax and deposit that into this new stabilization fund for the sole purpose to offset the design and construction of a new police headquarters building and other funds that are granted by the governing body authority. So I don't know under the new muni if the new using governing body as opposed to town meeting. So I just want to have some clarification on that one. But ultimately, this is to basically take the marijuana income tax, I mean, not income tax, the marijuana tax revenues and put it into a fund to build the police station. So it's to design everything that can happen with that. So we're basically, you know, just like we did with the meals tax, designating it for the police station. So that was Article, let me just see, and did we have? Yes. And the Finance Committee did not vote on that. I don't know if they will because I don't know if it's a finance matter. It's listing it, so they just haven't voted on that, and I'm sure we'll hear from that on the floor. Article 14 is authorize the investment of OPEB funds under the prudent investor rule. Right now, just so everybody understands, under our OPEB funds can only be invested under what's called legal lists. There's a legal list of investments that we can invest in, so our town treasurer invests that money pursuant to Chapter 44, Section 54. So with town meeting vote, we can authorize the change in our investment strategy and allow it to happen under Chapter 203C, which falls under the prudent investor rule. So it's changing from a legal list that we're bound to allowing a prudent investor rule. So, and then that would all, I know there's some designation in the description that would then allow for the monies to go to the Plymouth County OPEB Trust and be invested in conjoining with them. But I expect that we will hear more from the board of, the town treasurer regarding this. I'm sorry, I just don't have a heck of a lot more information on that one. And he will, I'm sure, give us an idea on what the true difference of it is. I think obviously one is on a higher risk level, but not in a jeopardizing way. But let's hear from him at town meeting on Article 14. The article, sorry, I'm just running from 2 just to ensure that I'm up to date with any changes that have occurred. So on that prudent investor rule, Finance Committee has voted favorable action 5-0-0. And Article 15 is to amend the Kingston bylaws, Chapter 4, Sections Agricultural, Section 4, I believe it's 4-14-2. It is our Agricultural Commission. So we're looking to accept the provisions of Chapter 40, Section 8L, allows you to expand your Agricultural Commission's authority to include the commission may accept, buy, hold, manage, license, and lease land for agricultural purposes. So it's expanding our Agricultural Commissioner's authority to include the powers that are now granted under Chapter 40, Section 8L, and that would be to buy, hold, manage, license, and lease land for agricultural purposes. And I'm sure we'll hear, obviously, as with all of these I indicated, the Board of Selectmen will be voting those tonight on October 29th. The Article 16 is the acceptance or the reformatting to our zoning bylaws. It's indicating in the description that there are no substantive changes. This is just codifying the bylaws, the zoning bylaws, you know, making sure that everything's on the pages, everything's been added in over the years, paginations, reformatting, codifying, you know, page numbers, all of that, so that we have one zoning bylaw that has everything straight through it. Right now, you have a zoning bylaw with all the amendments that have happened to it. So when you go into a section, you have to always go to the amendments. So now what we'll be looking at is to be able to have that put into one document. And let me just see, I believe the cost on that. Actually, I'm not seeing any on that. Okay, so I guess there's no allocation on fee on who's going to do that or what the cost is associated with that. Article 17 is amendment to the zoning bylaw, Section 4.6, and this is to add by special permit mixed-use residential uses in the town center district, which is our center of town, and also to add by special permit in the mixed-use residential in our commercial district. The intent of this provision is to allow, I know we've talked, especially at Colony Place, different places, where you could have retail on the first floor and then you can have residential on the second. So, and it allows, some of this is to allow to put some affordable housing up there. And it also allows then people, affordable housing that might not have transportation, that have easy access to transportation, like in the town center, access to the bus, both the, I believe the P&B still goes through there, and the GATRA, and then also like out on Colony Place to allow, again, affordable housing or others, so that people have access to amenities into public transportation. So that's just beneficial overall on that area. So that's Article 17, looking for that amendment. And again, these are all zoning changes, so I'm not giving Board of Selectmen's view on these. And that was a zoning change, so there was no planning board vote on that. Article 18 is to amend the zoning bylaw, Section 7-7-2.1. It's actually 7.7.2.1. And I was just looking for that. And actually, there's no vote on the planning board on Article 16. Sorry about that. There's just no vote yet on the planning board. The Article 17, I'm sorry, Article, I'm sorry, yeah. Article 17, which was the vote on 4.6, was voted planning board 4-0-0. Do humbly apologize. It's 4-0-0 vote on that on the planning board. Now, Article 18, the amendment to 7.7.2.1. This is to amend the powers to issue special permits within the reasonable discretion of our special permit granting authority. Special permits are granted by both the planning board and the zoning board. And this special would grant, though, that the special permit granting authority may waive or modify dimensional and similar requirements in zoning districts if they find that the proposed design is of high standards and such changes will not violate the intent of our zoning bylaws. So it's to give them a little more authority to allow things to go through that they believe of high caliber and don't violate the nature and the intent of our zoning bylaws. So that would put that into their authority. So with Article 18, that does have planning board favorable 4-0-0 for favorable action on that. Article 19 is an amendment to the zoning bylaws, and it's Section 6.6, and it's outdoor advertising. So this particular article, ladies and gentlemen, is looking for to basically amend the zoning bylaw regarding signs in our commercial industrial park that are within 500 feet of Route 3. So it all only expressing authority is per 700 CMRs 3.00, and it's about illuminating signs. So with the illuminated signs, they have to be of certain size with one consistent lighting mechanism, so it's not a blinking light, it's not all of that. So you will see all of that in this whole article, is available online, so you can read it and go through it exactly in it in regard to what they're looking for signage in that. So that particular article has, outdoor advertising, has not been voted on by the planning board as of yet. So that article is still pending with the planning board. Article 20 is the granting of an easement. This is the town grants an easement to allow access across town-owned parcels for future development. If you know, and I understand there'll be a handout for this one at special town meeting. And if you remember, we've been talking about Colony Place. And so we own a parcel of land that would allow development to occur if we allow access across it in order for future development. So this has been one of the things that the Board of Selectmen has been dealing with in regard to enhancing revenues for commercial and other generating income for the town of Kingston. So I'm sure we'll hear a little bit more from them in regard to this Article 20. That has, actually, I'm not seeing that as any vote by the planning board on that particular article. Well, it's granting an easement, so I guess it really doesn't have anything to do with the planning board in that sense. Article 21. This is, our article is a petitioned article for street acceptance. So this article is to see if the town will vote to accept as streets as a public way known as Fountain Knoll Lane, Bogview Road, Smith Fuller Way, and Crimson Harvest Drive. All of those are part of Tall Timbers Estate Phase 4. So this is a petitioned article, and it is looking for acceptance of certain streets in the public way. And again, it's the Tall Timbers Estate Phase 4, and those streets are Fountain Knoll Lane, Bogview Road, Smith Fuller Way, and Crimson Harvest Drive. That is Article 21. And Article 22, my last and final article, is also a petition article. And this article is seeking conservation land proposal, and it is by transfer of town-owned parcels to specify to go to conservation protection. The parcels are specified. It doesn't give any indication, and I don't know what this is about. It doesn't give any indication of exactly where these parcels are, but they are set forth, and it is available online, so you can look at the maps and you can go and see where this is in regard to the layout of these particular lots for these to be transferred into conservation protection. And so that is our petitioner's article, and so I don't have anything more on that. So that concludes our town meeting, Town of Kingston special town meeting preview. And I remind you again, the Board of Selectmen will be voting tonight, their votes on all the articles, and that's October 29, 2019. Board of Selectmen's meeting, I believe it's at 6 p.m. The special town meeting will be held on November 12, 2019, day after Veterans Day, and it will be at 7 p.m. So hope to see you all there at Kingston Intermediate School, and I hope you enjoyed this preview. Thank you.